Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Truth, Beauty, Freedom, and Love Show, live for the very first time with a guest and my beautiful guest, Pastelle. We're going to talk about dreams tonight, and not just dreams in the sense of daydreams, but what dreams mean from a grander sense. So things like time travel, portals, and all of that juicy stuff as it comes to dreams and our personal stories with Miss Pastelle, because her powers in the Dragon Warriors do relate to dreams and dream weaving. And I also think that there are people with certain astrological inclinations that are more tuned to dreams. Like, I have certain people that I know that say they don't dream, and some people have very active dreams, and others who say that, like, they dream, but they don't remember their dreams or anything like that. So I'm going to throw to you, Pastel, to do your own little introduction and then kind of like what you feel about dreams.
Well, I do not feel about dreams. So
Yeah.
this this is kind of a very big story of my life.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
like I have that illness, if I can say, uh,
Mm.
epilepsy. It's like people who have can just fall asleep anytime, anywhere. And the specific thing of that illness is that you dream a lot. Like you spend a lot of time in the paradoxal phase of,
Mm.
and this is the phase that your brain is actually storage, idea, memories, learnings, and all of that. So this is the moment where your brain is actually dreaming.
Okay. I think that's like the REM sleep, right? Like the rapid eye movement sleep, where like, are you in that phase a lot?
Probably. I don't know how we said it in English,
Mm.
but you're going into a very light sleep until you're going to different phase, then you reach the very deep sleep, and then you're going straight to that phase, makes you like the dream
The
phase.
dream. Yeah. Because then your brain is very active.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have all cycle,
Yeah.
your sleep cycle is like that.
When did you start having that? Like, where were you diagnosed with that, Pastel?
It was like a very dark side of my life, a dark part of my childhood. I've lost my dad, and
Yeah.
I just wanted to end myself, if I can say,
Yeah. How
for
old, do you know how old you were? How old were you when your dad passed?
13 probably.
That's tough, Pastel.
Yeah.
13. That's because,
Um,
yeah, because things are changing in like, if you think about like the age of 13 to 12, 13, like when you're like
yeah,
you're becoming a woman, or like you're
yeah,
trying to like figure out your place in the world. And so, yeah, because you can just go to your dream world whenever you want to
yeah.
escape like this stuff, the
But
real
I
world.
feel like this is what happens to me. Like I basically just wanted to close my eyes and feel nothing because
Yeah.
everything I was feeling was a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And I end up being like dreaming a lot, like falling asleep and dream a lot. So
Yeah.
now I'm at that age that it's still a problem in everyday life, because if I want to have a job, I can, like, I'm always tired, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
the good thing of that is that I sleep a lot, and I dream a lot. So dream is a very, very important part of my life. I feel like I have two lives,
We
the moment
do. Yeah.
I do something, and the moment when I close my eyes to sleep, I'm like, okay, this is my second
So
life.
you have probably had what I've had before, where like, I don't know if have you had like almost like a series of dreams that continue?
Kind of.
You know what I mean? Where like it's like for like 2 weeks or something. Every
Yeah.
time you go to sleep, it like like a TV show. It picks up where
I
you
mean,
left.
I took it like a Netflix shows,
Yeah.
because dreams like from deep. Honestly, sometimes I have something very settled, very quiet, very entertaining. Sometimes it's like a big race, and I have to do that. And another time it's like a National Geographic stuff, because a lot of animals everywhere.
Yeah.
Like this is This is really, I have different type of shows,
Yeah,
and each time I love it. So I try to write them down a lot.
that's
So I
good. Yeah, I was gonna ask if you do a dream journal because there's multi meanings, right? Just like art. Because so if you like write it down, and I mean like I hate it though sometimes when like you wake up out of a dream and it seems so clear, and the
yeah,
more you try to think about it, the less clear it is. And like
yeah.
there's certain things that stay, but there's like other things where like, oh, that was so clear before, but I can't remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's to write it down. And because some people are like, oh, I remember it really well. I remember it really well. But you dreams make no sense. I mean,
No.
it makes sense for you because based on the feelings you have, that dream make you feel, but there's some things that makes no sense,
No.
and it's sometimes very difficult to explain. Like the like the clear thing you're talking about, and you're like, oh my God, I had a dream, and I was in the park, and it wasn't a park. It was like a cheap station, but like a park, kind
There's a
of.
park there, or like but it makes sense to you because it's like you're the dream weaver, so like you
So
have
that's why you want to write it down because you have some details sometimes that makes no sense, but those are actually the details that you have to pay attention to.
that's so true. Oh my gosh, it's so
So,
funny you talk about sleeping. So we're because my nickname in high school was Sleepy 90s, right? Because I used to just sleep in class and get 90% because like I didn't think that I needed to pay like if it was interesting, I'd pay attention, but I would just sleep in class. But like people are like, do you just not sleep? And I'm like, no, I like naps. So
yeah. Oh my God, that's not that's what you do.
like you need a nap. Like and just it's amazing how like you will work things out in your dream world that like in your
Mhm.
waking life you're like, oh okay, good. Now I have a solution to it if I go to bed on it. Yeah.
This is the best part of, and I think this is what people don't really, it's not even understand, but they don't believe in.
Mm.
Like being convicted that you can have the solution just because you had a nap. Like your brain still work for you and is actually more active because you don't have all the distraction that you may have when you're awake.
Yeah.
Like you have 100% time to be focused on something. And this is a real technique. That's why they ask you when you fall asleep
Mm.
to think about what you want to dream of.
Yes, because you can direct it.
Exactly, or what
Yes.
problem you want to solve,
Yep.
and you'll be surprised to see how your problem gets solved just because you had a good sleep on it.
Yes.
Especially naps. Naps are like so efficient, like
Should,
so.
we should have our little like tip list on how. Well, I mean, actually, this is a good segue into. I wanted to really talk about dreams because when I took my NLP course, and you talk about like when you have memories, right?
Mhm,
Like you and I will, let's say we have a memory of like competing or whatever, how that went, right? So
yeah,
I have a perspective, of course, from being like backstage, and you have a perspective of being on stage, but it's kind of like the same experience, right? But we have a different view on it. So it's kind of like when we think of memories and we think of dreams, you're like, what's the difference? They're kind
Eh,
of both real.
yeah, that's true. That's true though. I never really like look it like on that side point of view or side of view, but this is actually the same thing. This is actually the same thing.
Yeah.
It's also funny. Also, I give you the context.
Yes.
I was in an event and there were this lady. She was like a coach in something, and she was talking about the very important. Um, it's very that she was saying that it was very important to know what was our dream when we were child.
Yes. I agree with that 100%.
Of the same thing because it's actually your one of your earliest memory that most part of us doesn't even remember. But when your parents was like, "Oh, what do you want to be when you're gonna be adult? What do you want to do? Like, who do you want to be? What do you want to do?" And
Yeah.
I remember that. I forgot that.
Yeah, and I feel like I've only recently come back to myself since writing creatively. I feel
Yeah.
like when you are creative, like for example, Pastel, when you like are like working on ideas, or like what we're gonna actually get into is dance, because when you go into that space where like you're not thinking, right? Like when you learn a dance and you learn that dance so well that your body knows it,
Yeah.
you don't, like when you're performing it, it's not like you're thinking in your head like one two, like when my hand goes here and then I do this, because it's already in you. So you can go with it and you can flow with it. And then also like when you freestyle, things come.
Mm.
Where do
Not.
where does that come from? Who
Yeah.
knows? And then sometimes I'll like record a freestyle and be like, wow, I would have never, like, thank goodness I recorded that, because I would have not remembered what the heck happened. And now I can take that and like use it. But like if you think about that creative flow state, that I feel like is also like the state you go when you dream, right? And so if you can like harness that and like be aware, like dance is kind of like that.
Yeah. But if I'm not wrong, I think like if you see the different parts of the brain, imagination and dream are in the same location, I think.
You're probably right.
It's
Yeah.
just say that this is the same thing. This is the same essence, you know?
Yes. 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 And to your point about like what you wanted to be as a child, you know, the dreams that you had as a child is like incredibly important, because I feel like what we do sometimes as we get older, you know, even when you were here in Toronto, Pastel, we talked about this, where like you end up with like dreams that aren't yours. Like they get given to you. And like, or like you end up wanting things or like goals that aren't really like in alignment with what your child self would have wanted. You know, and you like ignore that because you're like, ah, you know, what do you know? You would never be able to do that, that kind of stuff. So, but you owe it to yourself to at least listen and try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is 100%, 100% sure that if you go through that, like through that road that you picked since you're young, you're definitely gonna find happiness. When you like just don't want to listen to it and try to force yourself doing something else because you're adult.
Yeah, like I need a house, or I need whatever the thing is that you need to be doing because you're a certain age, or because you're supposed to do this, or whatever it is. It's hard though, I get it. Like there's all these other pressures and other things going on. But I don't know, like for those of us who are in astrology, I like to look at like people who have inclinations towards like Neptune tend to be like, I have a trine with Neptune with my sun, like a very close trine. And so they say with that aspect, um, I'm tuned to dreams, but the challenge of that is that when things get hard or when things get crazy, you're just like, I am just going to go away into my dream world and not deal with it.
Yeah.
Right? You just create the walls of like, okay, I'm just gonna make a whole new like whatever, and then or like this like veil here, and then like pretend like it's not there. So there's that kind of challenge when you're dealing with like dream stuff. And also I think what's also ruled by Neptune is, what is it, deceit, like are people who like seem like they're working within dreams and energy but they're not,
Mm.
right? Because like where do nightmares come from, right?
Yeah,
Like all the like bad dreams or things like that. And I think part of that too is like also if you're tapped into like the universe and the world, and if people are going through a lot of suffering, that does come through as well,
yeah, for
right?
sure.
You'll feel it like in your dream world as well.
For
But
sure.
yeah.
This is all, I think this is all connected to your emotions anyway. Because if you realize, if we really see things, things that we remember the most, or I mean the most longer, the longest, are just based on feelings.
Yeah.
It's not even something that like today we like, okay, I'm gonna remember that. You can be sure that in 10 minutes you won't remember it.
It's true.
But when it's associated to an emotion, and the strongest is that emotion is, the strongest you're gonna be like sure to remember it. You won't forget it. And for sure, because this is a memory, it's
Mm,
like it comes from a feeling, an emotion, a feeling, a memory, and then a dream,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
of nightmares, because you have been touched by very dark feelings and emotions that you actually don't want to embrace. It's just getting stuck somewhere, and because it's getting stuck somewhere and you're refusing to face it,
Yes. Yeah.
what to do with it, and how to give it a proper sense, so it gives like a nightmare because it makes no sense for you, and it's actually from emotion that you've been like,
You haven't
you
worked out, right? So it's just kind of coming out in like a weird way, like in your
know,
dreams. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think also there's a movie called like the Nightmare on Elm Street, like Freddy Krueger and stuff, with like I'm in your dreams and I'm gonna come get you. So there's a movie called Dream Warriors. It's like the third movie in, and the girl in there, she becomes like this child psychologist, and she trains the kids to like fight back in the dream against Freddy, right? So that like you become a dream warrior. Like, okay, so like in there, if he comes at me, I'm gonna have like superpowers where I can freaking beat the shit out of you, right? So that you empower yourself consciously. And I think that there's a lot of truth to that, because you can arm yourself with stories. And that's where I feel like really good stories, really good movies, really good art comes into play for all that stuff, because all of that feeds itself. Because the more that you have like beautiful imagery, beautiful stories, you can get inspired by heroes who are able to do incredible things and take that into your own life, and it makes an impact. Like you can tell like you're like the little you who watched certain animes is like, you know what? It's possible. You know, like that kind of stuff. It's more powerful than what people think. And
of,
yeah. And
of course.
I think also like I don't know if you've ever had an experience, Pastel, where you dreamed something that came true, or where you dreamed of someone in your dream and then like you saw them.
I have like a lot of deja vu.
Yeah,
This,
or like you felt like you've dreamt this before. Like this has
yeah,
already happened.
that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Like that happens a lot. But most recently, I had some dreams that was completely unrealistic. But
Unrealistic, like completely like out
yeah,
there.
it feels so true. Like
Oh, okay.
it's like I woke up and I was like, oh, so basically one day I dreamed that I was a time traveler. Like for
Well,
real.
you are in the book, so like maybe it's just happening now.
I was really going out of my body, conscious, like in full conscious.
So you were aware, like you were aware that, yeah,
Like I felt it. It's like I was able to, the same way, for example, if when you dance and you finally realize that you're doing something right.
yes,
When you like, oh, I got
I
it.
got it.
I feel it. I know how to make it now. It's like it doesn't have to be technical. It's just that your
You
body
get it. Your body. Yes, yes, I do.
body
I.
do it, and you don't know how, but
It
it just
clicks. Yeah.
clicks and it just happened. And so it was kind of a moment like that. I was like feeling that my body, I could go out of my body. And I've been like traveling in space, like going to an island. I was in a very tropical island, cats everywhere. Like there was a lot of kittens. So I don't know, I don't know why. And I forget that detail.
Interest.
Because
Okay.
that I was like, there were cats everywhere, like baby cats,
Huh.
kittens everywhere. And I just
That
get out of
means
my
something.
body, and I traveled over, like I was flying, but I was conscious that nobody could see me. It's like I was a spirit, something.
So,
And
were you traveling forward in time or were you just traveling through time? You weren't like,
I think I was traveling through time.
okay, yeah.
But it was really weird because I was living in a very futuristic island and I was traveling. It's like even the place that I was, like the first place that I was very futuristic. Have you know if like have you played The Sims sometimes?
Yes, I have.
So I don't know if you've been playing the new ones like the fourth one, but you can travel in the space and you
Oh.
like a different kind of gardens and flowers like very very special like like a cosmic thing.
Yeah.
And so I was in an island kind of like that, very cosmic, like the waterfalls was running backward, for example, or stuff like that. But it was
Okay. Yeah.
okay for me, wasn't weird. And I was flying like literally levitate and was able to go from a point like